let you know that we are trying to capture portions of today's meeting and the December 15th meeting for some of the members of our community who expressed a lot of interest, but were unfortunately unable to join us today. We'd like to start by acknowledging the Indigenous people who are the original inhabitants of the lands that my campus, William & Mary, and the Virginia Institute of Marine Science are on today. And those include the Charrette, Nottoway, Chickahominy, Eastern Chickahominy, Mattaponi, Monacan, Nosmond, Nottoway, Pamunkey, Potawatomi, Upper Mattaponi, and Rappahannock tribes. We pay our respect to their tribal members, both past and present, and welcome you to share a land acknowledgement from the location that you are joining us from today. Earlier today, everyone should have received a reminder email containing today's agenda, as well as a participant's worksheet, which you can see over on the right-hand side. Both of these are available through the web address at the bottom right-hand corner of this page. If you go to that, you may need to hit refresh if you visited in the past, just to refresh the cookies on your browser. Both of those are on there. And as you're there and as you look over today's agenda, there are 2 videos that our featured panelists have pre-recorded. They're about 12 to 15 minutes long. They're both available on that webpage. They are fantastic. They dive a little bit deeper into what you're going to hear from them today during this meeting. We highly encourage you to visit the webpage after today's meeting to watch both of those videos, as well as some other recordings that we will be adding over the next 2 weeks. We'll reshare some reminders on that following today's meeting and before our next event, but just keep those in mind as another resource to extend what you're hearing and learning today. So we wanted to start with a brief background, kind of the who's, what, where of how this project got started, to put it in a little bit of context. Like many of you on today's meeting, our project team has been working individually and collaboratively on a number of DEIJ initiatives over the past several years within our program, as well as professional societies that we're all actively engaged in. And following a great DEI-focused event, the Restore America's Estuaries hosted a few years ago, we started to meet regularly, discussing how we could expand on those individual activities and efforts to do more as a community, which ultimately led us to this NSF Includes Planning grant. So with that, our goals of this project are centered on a few things. One is examining the barriers and challenges faced by historically marginalized and excluded students. We're aiming to achieve this in a holistic manner and an inclusive manner across the coastal, ocean, and marine science enterprise. So we're thinking beyond just natural sciences to include engineering, architecture, other disciplines that are working in the same space. And we want to develop a national ecosystem that nurtures the growth, persistence, and success of diverse students within the coastal, ocean, and marine science workforce and disciplines. And that's why we're so excited and honestly very thankful to have all of you participating in this event today. So to do this, we're using a couple different strategies and types of meetings. There is this initial event, 2 days, and it's a charrette in this way. And we're following that by a series of focus groups, which will take place next calendar year. We're going to do a series of those, and you'll start to hear about the topics and the timeline for those on day 2 of this event. And then finally, we're going to host a workshop, which will take place next winter, ideally, fingers crossed, in Portland, Oregon, and in person, which we hope that many, if not all of you, will be able to participate in. For this first event, we have 3 learning objectives. The first is to identify who's actively engaged in DEIJ internships and fellowships, as well as conference programming. And there's a lot of great examples out there on the conference and professional society side. And we're going to focus the first half of today's conversation really on that. During the second half of this meeting and into the next, we're going to turn our attention to current best practices, things that are being implemented and might be strategies that your organization, university, might be able to incorporate if you're not doing so already. And then finally, for our December 15th event, we were really going to turn our focus to the existing barriers and challenges that historically marginalized and excluded students still face today. Oh, before we get started, we did want to take a moment to introduce ourselves and our collaborators from Thriving Inclusion who are joining us today and helping us facilitate this event. With that, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Mona Bell to introduce herself first, and we'll work across the screen.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor to join you all here. My name is Mona Bell. I serve as Associate Director of Georgia Sea Grant. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm going to turn it over to Trita.
Thanks, Mona. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Trita Grayson. I am at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in Washington, D.C., where I do restoration work in Gulf of Mexico, and heavily involved in matters with SURF, the Broadening Participation Council, the Rising Tides program, and so delighted to be one of the newest members at large on the board for SURF. So, and I'll turn it to Sarah.
Thanks, Trita. Sarah Colasar, Associate Director for Research and Scholars at Oregon Sea Grant. I use she, her pronouns. And for those who are just joining, please put your, change your screen name, put your pronouns in your Zoom name. And I love seeing all of the land acknowledgements coming through the chat. So please keep them coming. Handing it over to Susan.
Hi all, this is Susan Park. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I am the Executive Director of the Coastal and Estuarine Research Federation, or SURF, which Trita just mentioned. Glad to have her as a board member and looking forward to the rest of the day. Back to you, Sam.
Thanks, everyone. And I am Sam Lake. I'm the Fellowship and Research Program Coordinator at Virginia Sea Grant. Been actively involved with SURF in the past, as well as Affiliate Society, Atlantic Estuarine Research Society, over many years. With a large group like today, it's really difficult and of course would be time consuming to do introductions for everyone, which is why we've strategically thought about that in some ways, and we're including time in the first breakout session for some small group introductions. And that will include some amazing co-facilitators who graciously volunteered their time and effort with supporting this event today. However, we would like to encourage you to fill out the participants database if you haven't done so already. That's going to be a great way to connect with other people that are participating in the Charrette and the program broadly. And hope that if you haven't done so already, and we'll share it in the chat window in just a second, please go onto that Google Sheet and fill out your information if you would like to be included, and that'll help connect members that are joining today with each other. We have two wonderful partners that I've already referenced from Thriving Inclusion that are going to be helping us facilitate both days of this virtual event and are going to lead the next portion of this introduction and welcome. Flo, Angela, would you both introduce yourselves and share the meeting expectations, norms, and guiding principles for today's meeting?
Sure, I'll start with just my introduction. Floretta King. You can call me Flo. I'm happy to be here and happy to be a collaborator on this project. My pronouns are she, they, her. Looking forward to the day today.
Good afternoon and good morning to some of our folks from way west of us. Angela Rolla, she, her, hers. I'm going to put in the
You went mute, Angela.
I'm having this wonderful conversation with myself. So good afternoon and good morning to those of you who are hailing from West Coast. I want to particularly say hello to Brooke, because just want you to know that I used to live in Kodiak, Alaska for 6 years, and I miss the place dearly. So to my Alaska partner there, I hope things are going well. Angela Rolla, she, her, hers, and it's really wonderful. I've enjoyed working with the team. We're looking forward to working with the rest of you over the next 2 days and into next year. Thank you.